that is good. Okay, can you see my screen? Just double checking. Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Missy. Okay, so welcome to Lesson 4. This is the series of teaching Japanese with stories. Our story for this term has been Sadako no Neko, but as I've said, the strategies and the format really can be used with any text or any book that you have. So hopefully this will give some ideas of ways that we can recycle the same limited language that we're focusing on to build up confidence with our students. So our lesson, I'll just put that on full screen. Our overview, as I said, it's similar, that our learning intentions really do remain the same. We're listening to Japanese and responding and engaging in Japanese, and we're going to show our understanding via gestures or words or sentences. So there's our overview of the lesson. So as always, we start with the password and we have our check-in. That's really our student voice input stage. We've got some shared reading, a writing activity, and our brain break. So as always, this is a sample, but there are so many ways that you can follow this structure. This is just some examples of things that you might find useful. Okay, so our password, again, the students come in, they know this routine. It's an opportunity just to get in the zone, and also just a little bit of stroke order practice, but not, I find that doesn't take up too much of the class time, which is, as we know, so precious, that we want to really maximise input as much as we can. So we have that with a little bit of background music. We then confirm the pronunciation of those and then the meaning. So this can also then just roll in nicely to a little impromptu chit-chat about pets and cats and who likes them and who doesn't, whether you prefer cats to dogs, as much time as you've got. Whoops-a-days. I wanted to touch on this fantastic classroom management strategy that has been shared with me. I believe it was from La Maestra Loca, and I've been using this since I've started using CI. So there's, again, lots of different variations to this, but it's a really good way to flip, and Annabelle La Maestra Loca does this so well, focusing in on catching them doing the good stuff. So anytime that the students are showing a sense of community, that they're showing collaboration, that they're showing good team spirit, risk-taking, having a go, there are scores there that are given to the class. And if that's not happening, there's a point to me. So I've found that that's been a really helpful way to focus the students in on what they need to be focusing on and rewarding that as a collective. So bearing that in mind with the game that we've got today. Again, I really like to use these personal check-ins with the students to revise the numbers. And then last week's book club, the evening session, one of our members, Anna, was talking about the way that she uses this and focusing on, and I can never say this word, Motopoi. And she uses this, and I thought, oh, that's a really nice way to change things up a bit. And so I've put this in this week's slideshow in case you'd like to also have a go at using that. So, Neko Neko suru, shiku shiku suru, ira ira suru, gakkari suru, doki doki suru, waku waku suru, tsukareta ma desu. And again, you know your students and how much is too much with the, I'm very conscious of cognitive overload. So if this is too many choices, we just pare it back. So today's main activity is a game. Again, I believe this is one from La Maestra Loca, and it's backward charades. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with that one, Missy. No. It's a fantastic game that is supported because it's, we'll get to that. So the first step here I would do is, again, another gesture check. So I'll just go through these ones for those that are unsure. You can make up your own gestures, but these are the ones that I use. So these are the core language chunks in Sadako no Neko, and we've been using these ones. This is lesson 4, so hopefully the students are getting a little bit more used to the gestures, and again, checking for comprehension. So, ga, imasu, desu, ni, imasu, ga, suki, desu, to, imasu. And then for the particles and question words, we've been doing those incidentally the last few weeks, but I thought that I'd just make a point of having that up there. So what are we talking about? Wa. And I find that the students get this one really quite quickly, as do they for ka. So the question, to, dare, nan, nani, and doko. So we do checking for those, a little, almost like a little pop-up brain break type of thing. Last week we did it with pairs, and yes, so last week we did it in pairs. This week with the backward charades, it's in a sort of a group setting. So checking for those. And our story, I just thought I'd mention about the story. So over the last 3 weeks, we've been building on this story. Lesson 1 was creating the story based on a basic skeleton of there is somebody, they're at somewhere, they have the cat, they have something, and the cat is not happy, doesn't like Uluru wherever they end up being. So over the last 2 lessons since that lesson, you had the option to add an extra, like a parallel character, an extra character to add to the story, but using the same structure of they are here, they're not here, they, they like that. So what was the other one? To'imas, and what they say, So that would be recycled each week. This is the basic story. So I'm using this. This is the basic story from lesson 1. So again, if your students needed some extension, they were sort of hungry for a little bit of extra detail, you can add that in. I'm just using the basic story that we used in lesson 1. So this is the lesson. This is the text that we'll be using for the backwards charades activity. And so what I would do is, again, have a bit of a shared reading, but more the teacher reading to check for comprehension for this one. So I'd be reading that through Onanoko ga imasu, and maybe ask the class then for translation and checking for comprehension in English, and continuing on. Those that can join in will join in, but it's mainly to check for the comprehension. You might also ask the students then to, as they're listening to me reading it out or joining in, the other option is that they could be doing the gestures. So, Onanoko ga imasu. Onanoko wa su desu. Onanoko wa, what did I have? Neko ga imasu. And then they might say, what's the difference with ga and ni? And again, that's a chance just for a quick pop-up, keeping it brief. Ga imasu, they are there, that exists. Ni imasu, they are there. And then continuing on, Neko wa Hello Kitty desu. Hello Kitty wa doko desu ka to imasu. Su wa Uluru ni imasu. What was Uluru ni imasu? There at Uluru. Hai, so desu ne. To imasu. What's to imasu? Says. Sugoi. Hello Kitty wa Uluru watashi. Actually, we could probably do this one. We haven't actually introduced the watashi. Watashi wa Uluru ga suki janai desu to imasu. Okay, so a bit of a gesture read for this week, which leads, I think, nicely into our backwards charades activity, which is a game to revise the text. It is a collaborative silent gesturing game. So the setup is you have the class separated into two groups, and you've got a whiteboard. So two groups. One person from each group is the guesser. So the guessers will be standing up here with their backs to the whiteboard, so they're not seeing the text. Their teammates will be gesturing the sentences. So, but they're gesturing in silence. They can't call out. So they're gesturing. And again, this is an opportunity, I suppose, to reward, notice and reward the collaborative work of these groups and assign points to them. So I think keeping it gamified like that helps to manage the excitement, but also highlight the work that the collaborative work that they're doing. So that is the setup. So these sentences would be projected up on the whiteboard here. And so the instructions for the group is that they are reading the sentence and gesturing collectively to the partner, to the guesser. And the guesser's job then is to say, it's a little bit of an output, say the sentence. So if we were playing this one and Missy was guessing on mute, as you do, and I was gesturing, I would be going, with my group. And again, it's collaborative, so there's that little bit of extra support for the students that maybe they can still participate because it's as a group, and they can help one another in silence, of course. But our group would be doing, and they might need to do it again many times. And so then if Missy then knew, she would say, "Doko desu ka?" She'd call that out, "Doko desu ka?" And the good thing is there's only two people speaking, one from each team. So when they call it out, you're monitoring that, and you can check for the correct translation there as well. So yeah, these are some of the sentences that I've got for this game, which recycles the language that has been used in the story that was co-created, but also the language in Sadako to Neko-chan. So, dare desu ka? And if you felt that, obviously, if your students needed the extra layer of support, you could go through these ones with them first and say, how would we gesture these ones before they actually got to compete with them? And progressively, they're just getting a little bit more detailed. And I think I pulled up there we go. Uraru ga suki janai desu to iimasu. There's so many different ways to recycle this core language. And one of the things that I really like to do in the next activity is give the students an opportunity to really manipulate and come up with ways that they can use this core set of language. So sometimes I feel that the students think that there's only one way to say something, and sometimes they need to be given permission to, or say it's okay that you can use it in many different ways, and encourage that risk taking and having a go, and being creative with the language in order to keep the communication going. So the last one standing is a chance for them to do that. And again, it's supported because it's done in pairs. So on a mini whiteboard, the students are given 5 minutes to write as many sentences as they can about the story so far in Romaji. So it's in Romaji because there is 5 minutes. It's not, this is really another input. I think it's another input activity, and also checking for comprehension activity. Excuse me. And sorry, to see the structure of how they're where the gaps are in formulating the sentences. So what's missing? It gives us a really quick snapshot of, okay, where they're missing wa. We need to really, maybe that's what I'm going to focus on trying to highlight a little bit more in our next lesson. Or they are missing, as often they do, they're missing the order of gaskides bananas, or gaskijanai ularu. And so that's just an indication then that we need to provide more input on that structure. So it's a little bit of a peek into what we need to do and which can formulate our next lesson. So how this works is in pairs, they write down as many sentences as they can about the story. Then they're all standing up with their whiteboards and going around pair by pair. They're reading out their sentences, so the students are hearing that. Of course, if it's not quite correct, I then jump in and just without highlighting that, I'd say, yep, onna no ko wa su desu ka, and check for comprehension. What's that? Cross it off. So that's another opportunity for the teacher to sort of look and see, yeah, we're all working really well there. We're all listening really well. Points for the class. If I've written down onna no ko wa su desu ka and Missy has said that, Missy and her partner have said that, I have to cross it off. I might only have 3 or 4 other sentences, so I'm hoping to be the last one standing. What I've found is it's a good opportunity for as I said, for the students to be a little bit creative with how they make their sentences, and soon they get the idea that I don't have to. I can easily change something with just adding a ka or adding a to add somebody else, or the sentence to iimasu. So there's lots of hopefully we're building up that ability to think outside just a one sentence fits all sort of thing. So I hope that makes sense, that one. So that's just a last writing activity before the exit ticket. And this one, just a gesture or say a sentence about the story. So we've done all this gesture work here. Hopefully that's building up a little bit of confidence with them to be able to say and share a full sentence. But if not, hopefully they'll be able to do, a sentence in gesture form. So that is lesson 4 sample for you. So I know, Missy, you're unable to share, which is a shame because you've got so much expertise with this co-creating stories. So love to pick your brain on that. But if you've got any questions or questions about the format here when you watch the video and you think, that doesn't quite make sense, please let me know. Drop a line in the chat in the hub, the JapanEasyReads hub, and happy to answer any questions with that. So next week will be week 5, so we'll look forward to seeing the next progression. So again, if you've got any suggestions before then, please let me know and we can factor that into our next lesson. それで終わります。じゃあ皆さん頑張ってください。